Alright, welcome to the start of a new anime review series. This is Asakusa Records of a Bastard Instructor. Anime review, episode number 1. Here discussing the first 3 episodes of the series. Unlike in the case of I Pair Everything, where they have a season 2 already greenlit, this one does not. And you're probably curious, when did this show come out? 2017. Really? Yeah, 9 years ago, which is basically kind of when I got into anime. So, yeah, I just discovered something. I thought basically I put this in public. I guess that now it's public now. Yeah, it was Walking Through ScammerCon. So, the company who makes this show is Linden Films. Linden Films. The company itself only opened 14 years ago. And these shows I've seen that they have made. Those being, well, aside from this show, and I kind of have to scroll down here because more shows I've seen, a little more recent ones. Let's see. Goblin Slayer Season 2. Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider. And that's it. Yep, this is only the third show that I have seen this company made. So, basically we have this new instructor. We started off with 2 very beautiful teenage girls named Sistine Fable and Ruma Tago. 2 sisters who are basically, well, Sistine is basically related to the family. Ruma is adopted. So, Sistine is voiced by Rachel Messer. And Ruma is voiced by Monica Rial. And now the 71st anime I've heard her in now. Yes, I kind of suspect this one. And they're on the way to school. Though in the case of Sissy, she's running a little late. And then here comes our lead character, where he is running late. Excuse me, his name is Glenn Radars. He's voiced by, here's the thing, I am not referring to him by his new name, Josh Grell. I'm referring to by the name that I first knew him as, before he decided on himself as transgender, which in my opinion was really dumb of him to do. So the series I've seen him in besides this one: Soul Eater or Not, Black Butler. Let's see. Devil's Part-Timer, Toriko, Attack on Titan, High School DxD. He was placed in for the original voice actor, and the reason because the original voice actor got arrested for possession of child porn. My Hero Academia, Black Clover's voice of William Bonches. He's probably going to be back for the show because the show's coming back 2 months. Demon Lord Retry, Dr. Stone, One Piece, and beginning after the end, along with Fairy Tail, One Hero's Quest. Roughly 15 shows. Not bad for Josh Grell. I know he refers himself nowadays as Jesse James Grell, but I'm still referring to him as he's it's a guy. It's clearly a guy. And I've heard, despite the fact he calls himself Jesse James Grell, I am still going to call him Josh Grell. Because there was one voice chat, basically, when I dare call him Josh. It's like, oh, his name is Jesse now. I call him Josh because that's the name I knew, because that's the name I recognize as him for this guy. And by the way, it's actually also 16 name because he's also in another series he was lead voice actor for, which this one he stepped down from the role, that being in the role of my smartphone. Yes, That one, I asked one of the voice actors why he got replaced, because he asked to be replaced. Now, in case you're curious, why has not been season 2 of the show? I know we're kind of early on here. Do not know why. There's plenty of source material. Before I watched this anime, I read the manga. The first 9 out of 16 volumes. The manga, believe it or not, stopped publishing. 5 years ago. Yes, the anime started 2 years after the adaptation of the manga started. But if you go from light novels, it was only 3 years. So by the time this series started, it started in April of 2017. So by the time the show came out, the show had only the light novels had only released 8 volumes. Yeah, 8 volumes. Yeah. Yeah, and we're also introduced to several other students in the class. Once we introduced to the main class itself. Yes, and we're also introduced to his Cecilia Afridi, who's a very beautiful woman who one of the teachers called her a witch. Which he has no problem with the nickname, but if you dare poke fun at Glenn, that's when basically stuff happens. She's voiced by Morgan Garrett. And apparently she's 420, but she's stunning. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It is surprising, though, that our lead character does not call her an old lady because she's older than he is. Yes. So, there's also a guy who's against him called Henry Astray. He's voiced by Krista Willenkamp, who some people, basically English dub fans, know him for the voice of, what's usually the first character people think of when think of this guy. Eraserhead from My Hero Academia. Yep. He's still a great voice actor. The headmaster is voiced by Ben Phillips. So, as for our students. So, in the class itself, we have Gebel Walsden, who is voiced by Alejandro Saab. And this is his, I believe, the 25th series, if I'm not mistaken. 25th series for him. There is also, I did see in the class, Heckle Bates, which they don't have a credited voice actor for him. Let's see. There is also Lynn Tittits. She is voiced by Brian Appel. And for Brian, this is her. Let's see. This is her 32nd series for her. She's like a very nervous girl asking about questions, which I'll get to her. There is also Wendy Nablus, who's voiced by the amazing Jade Saxton, who I still have not met. You're like, really? You have met Jade Saxton? No, I have not. Still, after being animated now for 9 years, I have still never met Jade Saxton, despite the fact I've now seen her in 43 anime. Yeah. A bunch of people basically know her, but I have not met her yet. I basically messaged a couple times on Instagram, but she hasn't really responded since then, probably because she's busy. So, and he rather basically sleep, pin a book to the board, and like, self-study, and then eventually, after basically agreeing to a magical duel, despite the fact he tends to try to regag on the promise to actually teach, he basically decides to form very detailed lessons, basically how to use magic properly. And I'll think, magic's for killing? Not necessarily. So, apparently that he decided his lessons become very popular. Even students sneak into class and hear his lectures. Probably because basically he's makes up for interesting. So then all the professors except for him leave the school for a magic conference. I'm like, why would you leave only one instructor at a school and for your magic conference? Why would you take almost every single professor at the school? Then why not just call a day off? Why only leave one instructor? Couldn't you leave more than one? Oh no, all of them are going to have to go away, and then all of a sudden he's basically ambushed by one of the villains of the show. Yes. Of this group known as the Researchers of Divine Wisdom, this evil organization with a snake and a knife, which they have one guy here. And he's very easy taken out. He just is beaten up and tied up by, well, our guys. Then we also see. So apparently they're after the room because we find out she's actually the princess of the kingdom, who they have to keep secret because she's got magical power. Apparently people don't like the fact in this world of royals got this particular magic power. So we have this guy named Jeff Guinness, who takes basically Sissy, who's voiced by Chris Gardner, and he does something so despicable. He takes a scene to a room that was previously used in the previous episode by, well, Ruma to make Magic Circle, and he tried to rape her by opening her shirt and pulling her shirt up, and of course then we have Glenn show up and like, oh, and she's like, help me, you idiot. Yeah, and by the way, this is the same girl who actually has slapped him, throw 2 books at his head, and proceeds to defeat the guy with his sealed ability, the Fold, and beats him up. And then we have ghoul zombies show up, kill him, they leave, and then confronted by another individual, which, as soon as I heard the voice, I'm like, Demiurge? Well, it's his voice actor. Rick Fung, we don't hear his name, but yeah, he shows up. I know who this guy is because basically, well, I know of his voice actor, never met him. Jeff Johnson, who's known voicing Demiurge from Overlord. Yeah. So, and then of course, basically while during fighting the ghouls, he actually takes them out, thanks to a special magic stone he has, and he starts turning ice cold, which means he's almost on the verge of death. And then he's taking this. Then you take on basically this other guy I just mentioned, and then he shoves his thing out the window, and it's used to spell magic, and eventually he's killed. And then, well, then a couple times basically, first Cecile basically contacts him what's going on. Second time, apparently that only the berry has been redirected, and of course all about getting to this particular room where Rumi is. And it turns out that there was a secret informant who turns out to be Hallie Lawson, who's voiced by Brandon McManus. McManus, yes. And apparently this is the same guy who actually quit. Yeah, he quit, and basically where Glenn took over his spot. And so he put him in a circle, and of course he was become a human bomb, doesn't do anything. So Glenn, despite being covered in blood, he's also bleeding, and of course he gets hit and unseals. And of course, at one point he nearly dies, and of course then Ruma heals him, breaks the spell, and then, well, with the spell breaking, he's like, "Oh, I'm defeated." So Glenn proceeds to punch him, and then they collapse, and then, well, they decide what to do next. But this overall was really interesting start so far. I don't feel bored watching this show, not at all. Yeah, and not really much else to say about this. I have only 9 more episodes left to go, but given the fact that there is 4 anime coming out tomorrow, Yes, 4. 4 anime and 2 toku shows. So I probably won't get a chance to get back to this until probably just after I well, yeah, probably get a chance to get back to this until well, probably after all the other stuff is done. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up we have is, well, that's actually we have eating because it's getting really late, so I'll see you tomorrow for One Piece, Mushoku Tensei, World's Strongest Rearguard, 100 Girlfriends, Kamehura's X, which is the penultimate episode of the season, and Omega Horn. Getting next to you tomorrow. Bye.